then your potential to maximize your own growth within that company is huge.
Hi, I'm Elsa. Welcome to the Careers Podcast. Today with us, we have Sarah Mama from PwC Malta. Can you give us a bit of an introduction of yourself and of PwC as well?
Sure. So, like you said, my name is Sarah. I have been working with PwC now only for 3 months, but I actually worked at PwC for 6 years, left and came back. The partners like to joke and tell me that I saw the light sort of and came back to work with them.
You missed it.
I did miss it. I did. I studied here at University of Malta. I got a degree in psychology. And then straight out of university, I started at PwC. So I was sort of one of those students who started my career there, grew there. And then when I hit manager level, I decided I wanted to sort of explore opportunities outside, and sort of very quickly came running back. And
what is your current role?
My current role is a manager. So I head up the student programs.
Okay.
At PwC, we have quite a few student programs. We've recently, in fact, relaunched what we usually refer to as the Career Deal program, and it's now called the PwC Graduate Program. We recruit students from sort of many different backgrounds. So this could be, the main background is accounting, and I think that's what everybody knows us for. Yes. But this is something we've really sort of been trying to break a little bit, this perception in the market that PwC only recruits accountants.
Because you employ people from many fields.
Yes, we do. So it's, the typical pharma accounting student, but there's also, commerce as a group as well, maths and stats, people coming from a technology background or a computing background. The digital space is so big, and technology is such a, up and coming field. Not up and coming, it's up and it's come,
now.
So legal background as well. So lawyers we recruit. The STEM, people studying STEM disciplines as well. So we've created a program specifically for them, designed for them. We've created a program specifically designed for for law students, a program designed for accounting students. So we really want to break that perception in the student, the cohort of students, that we only recruit accountants, because we don't, So we're a big firm. So if I give you a bit of background about PwC, we're the number one professional services firm in Malta. So we recruit 600 plus people, and that number is growing. We're constantly looking for bright and ambitious and creative people to join the firm.
Okay, and so obviously it's a very large firm. What is it that will make a student stand out? So what is it in recent graduates and new employees that makes them stand out from the crowd?
I think it is sort of not coming to the workplace and just doing what is expected of you, okay? So it is, how are you going to be known for something? And this can be something very small. So, it could be something as simple as being known for walking down the corridor and always saying good morning and asking somebody how they are, and people will associate you with that and say that person, always says good morning, Obviously it can be more towards sort of your personal interests. It could be if you're known for playing a sport, then our social activities committee, for example, will want to snap you up straight away, so that when we're organizing any sporting events, you would be involved. There are the work-related things, so the softer things like, responding quickly to an email, following up, always following up. And then you're known for being dependable and being reliable, So there are a number of things that you can do, small things that you can do to really stand out. Being a team player, So it's very easy to be a team player when things are rosy and going well, and but what happens when the pressure is on, stresses are high, you have a deadline, do you go that extra mile? Do you stay on a given day if your team needs you to stay on? Do you share credit, or do you take all the credit for yourself, So these are things.
So it's about going the extra step kind of, and not just being an employee, but being yourself as well. And
Yes, being unique. I think it's those soft skills, yes. So for a firm like PwC, the technical skills, your knowledge of technology, if you're recruited in our technology team, your knowledge of accounting, if you're, assigned to our auditing team, those are expected. You're expected to have that technical expertise. But how are you going to stand out beyond that technical expertise? So it's those softer skills. How good are you at speaking in public, at giving a presentation, at negotiating? It's the softer side to the technical capabilities that we already expect a student would have.
And I think university in its own way, and this is something I regret quite a lot about the pandemic, is that our students might not be getting that as much from university right now, because university isn't, for me at least, it isn't just about what you learn from the classroom. It's about what you learn outside of the classroom as well. Just having a conversation on quad sometimes, that's what it is,
Yes.
to really build up personality.
For sure.
That's how I see it.
For sure. But there are still ways that you can do that. You can still tap into what you're good at in a pandemic, So I don't know. It's the simple things like, in the beginning, I remember when everybody was shifting to remote, it was sort of, some of the older generation not knowing how to use their laptops and connect, and they're getting stuck and they start getting frustrated. And sometimes you'd see it on the calls. You'd see the younger people who are more, attuned to technology, sort of helping them, like, why don't you click on this and click on that? And that in itself helps you helps you stand out. You've avoided wasting 10 minutes to get this person to do it by themselves. So there are small ways that you can do it even without having that personal.
And in your opinion, so with working online, so I imagine that some of you are working online right now.
Yeah.
Do you think that makes it harder to stand out?
Well, no, not really, because like I said, all the things that I mentioned before in terms of standing out, you can do all of that. You can be a team player online, you know what I mean? You don't have to be in person to be a team player. You can demonstrate soft skills, demonstrate leadership skills, without being in person all the time. So absolutely, I don't think that being online has stopped. We still have people today, So just recently, I had a conversation with a manager of ours, and we have one of our university students that's assigned to their team, and these people are working remotely. But so the student is assigned to his team, but it's not for the long term. It's just part-time work experience and so on. And he told me, please, when this person joins full-time, can you assign them to my team? So this person has already created an impact. This person is already meeting clients, and clients are sort of telling the manager, listen, really good work from that person or that individual. So I really don't think the pandemic sort of stops you from standing out. It's just shifting the way you stand out to adapt to the times. And I think we've done a pretty good job at making the shift.
Okay, and I think an interesting part of that is, you mentioned they're part-time.
Yes, some are.
So even as a part-timer, you can stand out.
Definitely. Look, I think that for us to limit your opportunity for standing out to the number of hours you work is sort of silly of us to do that, yes? So you start standing out from the moment you send your CV to a company. Okay, so as soon as we get that CV, there is an opportunity for a person to stand out. As soon as you engage in a first round interview, whether that is online or whether that is in person, there is an opportunity for you to stand out. And there are a number of ways you can do this, but I mean something simple, which we interview so many people, 10s, 20, 30, 40, 50, up to in the hundreds we interview, and that is students and also experienced hires. You get that handful of students who after an interview will send you an email and tell you, listen, thank you so much for that interview. It was a really great chat. That person, that name is imprinted in my memory, you know what I mean? And that
How
is
interesting.
the simplest way of standing out, So I would definitely not limit it to being part-time, full-time, and also not to grade or level within the company. I think you can stand out as a student, you can stand out as middle management, you can stand out as a leader, you know what I mean? So I think the opportunity to stand out, is within the full life cycle of an employee, and it's not limited to.
Okay, that's really cool. Do you notice any mistakes maybe that recent graduates or recently employed individuals make?
Yes, everybody makes mistakes, but with, I think, the student profile, sometimes it's twofold, I think, the main mistake. So there's one where they are too passive. So they sit back passively and listen and maybe not contribute that much. And it could be because they're shy, it could be, because they're introverted or whatever, but they tend to fade a little bit into the background. On the flip side, you have those students who come in and are super,
Charismatic.
aggressive, or so the flip side, because charismatic then is
Okay.
like, for me, a happy medium.
Exactly.
But I think it's this continuum of being too passive and too shy or laid back, and you don't contribute, versus then a sense of
Entitlement.
a sense of entitlement or arrogance, or
Exactly.
I know more than you. So I think it's about really striking that balance, So coming to the workplace, contributing, challenging, questioning, in, most importantly, a respectful and professional way. Understanding that the people you're working with have been here, they've been here for longer than you, they know more than you. You're there to learn, to absorb, and then to identify those quick wins and know when to achieve them ultimately.
Exactly. I think a little challenge that people have when they're starting somewhere new is finding a way to fit in. So for example, if you're quite shy, until you break those barriers, what do you have as advice for those students?
So, like we were saying, standing out, it's not necessarily so being in a meeting where you feel maybe a little bit out of your depth and shy to contribute. First of all, most importantly, you don't stand out because you're the loudest. You stand out, number one, because your work is good. That is where the quality is, okay? So focus on going back from that meeting if you're a little bit shy, doing your work, doing it well, focusing on the quality, and presenting that ultimately. I think students feel that they need to be heard, and yes, they do, but need to be heard to be noticed or to stand out. It's really, at the end of the day, the quality of the work where they're going to be noticed when, a client replies back to you and says, that report was fantastic, you know what I mean? And you happen to be one of the students who worked on that report. So there's definitely that.
Okay. And I would imagine that there would be quite a few opportunities for students to stand out. So
Yes.
in early on,
Yes.
they are given enough work to
Definitely.
really.
And again, so it's not just work. So at PwC, for example, we have a number of committees. Okay, so we have the green team, which focuses sort of on the firm's carbon footprint, making sure that we are operating in the most sustainable way that we can operate. There is the social activities committee, so they plan out the calendar of events for the year. There's the sports committee, there's the culture and values committee. So if you feel shy, maybe in a work setting, if you know what I mean, or in a client meeting or in a team meeting, but then you excel in one of those areas and you have passion for it, then why not sign up for one of the committees? The idea is that you get involved as much as possible. And then slowly, those nerves will break, and I think the culture of the organization that you work for, especially at PwC. PwC is quite a young firm as well. So I think the average age is about 28 years old, which is pretty young, when you think about it. So I think people, it's a young, vibrant, fun culture and environment. So I think that kind of breaks that feeling of being shy quite quickly, and it's different for everyone. Some people may take a few months to break it, and some people, are ready to talk and contribute straight away,
Exactly. I think that's very interesting. Something you said that really hit me is you don't need to be the loudest to stand out, and I think that's a very interesting point. And having those opportunities. So I think there's also the role of the employer that there are things. So you mentioned social activities. I think that's a very interesting thing that PwC does, that there are other means by which you can network and meet people.
And another great thing that the new program that we've just relaunched is, so we've added in elements that weren't there before. So for example, if you were a student signed up on our program, just last year, you would not be given the opportunity to join one of these committees that I was talking about. That is usually for full-time employees. We've extended that as well. So we've extended that to our student cohort. So if you do have a keen interest in, the environment and whatever, you may want to sign up to form part of the Green Committee. We've opened it up to, we've created a program called the Student Ambassador Program. So that person who sort of enjoys rallying the troops and promotion and things like that, they would work hand in hand in us to engage with the student population and come up with ideas of ways that we can, engage with them. And so there are ways of stepping out of your comfort zone and standing out when it's not related to work at all. You'd be surprised.
You mentioned before the emails that they send after an interview. I think that's very interesting. Are there other things that you notice that really make people stand out, even unrelated to interviews, even just in the workplace, something that really hits you?
Yes. I mean, like I was saying before, so for me, if I send out an email to a group of people and ask them, we have an event coming up as a student programs team and we need help, So now we're running an event, an escape room for FEMA. And we would send out an email to the people at the office and we'd tell them, we need volunteers. Logistically, it's going to be quite a nightmare to run. And we need people to volunteer. If I get a reply back from somebody to tell me, like, listen, I'm happy to dedicate my time. It's 7 till 8, so it's outside of working hours as well. That is for me, that person's name is sort of imprinted in my mind. I think somebody who, I don't know, I'm sitting down for lunch at the canteen. This is obviously pre-pandemic, and the person outside of my team comes and joins me for lunch, and we have a half an hour conversation, at lunch outside of work again, I mean, these are all the small things that students can do to make themselves be noticed.
Exactly. And when it comes then to quality of work, is there something that obviously excelling in your course and working to make sure that you do well, but when it comes to quality of work, is there things that students can do to really then stand out, even their work?
I mean, yes. So definitely it is focusing on quality versus quantity. So I think a lot of people say, oh, I worked on 10 projects, I have so much going on. But really what's going to make you stand out is the quality of the work that you submit. And also your attitude I really think it's about your attitude and how professional you come across. And, you know, one partner actually once told me a story. He told me he had a client meeting and one of the young junior entry-level people were joining him at this client meeting. So, you know, the student arrives at the client, the partner calls him and tells him, listen, I'm running 10 minutes late. You're going to have to start. And that, I think, at that point, you're at a crossroads. You're either going to, you know, and it's really all you have to do is just be able to engage with somebody, have that conversation with somebody for 10 minutes, buy some time until the partner comes. The client, okay, so the student did it worked out fine, the partner came and everything was fine. But the client actually sent an email to the partner to tell him, that this person was, they could tell that they were a little bit, but that person has stood out. So I think, again, it's these softer skills that make you really stand out.
And I think it's also about taking opportunities, even now, even when you're working up to finding a job in the future. It's about taking those opportunities to really make the most out of your character and really finding those traits that make you who you are. Yes. So definitely, that's really interesting. Obviously, our Careers Expo is targeted to all students in all different fields. So we're offering opportunities to most students in university. What would be your one point of advice that you would give to every student to really stand out, make the most of their job? What would that be?
I think it is sort of one thing that maybe I haven't spoken about that really makes a person stand out is the way they deal with mistakes as well. So I think owning up to a mistake, learning from it, taking accountability for it, and making sure that sort of it never happens again is one of those things that can really make a person stand out, because ultimately this is what we're talking about. So there's definitely that, and I think not thinking that it is just all about the technical or how much you know or how much, like we're saying before, how loud you are, how aggressive you are in a meeting, or how, it's about sitting back, absorbing, understanding the culture of the company that you want to form part of, making sure that there is the right fit. So that is something that is huge for us. So when at recruitment stage, one of the questions that we are always asking ourselves after we see somebody is this person the right fit? Do their values align with our values? How will they fit into a team? And I think every student out there should be asking themselves the same question. Do I fit with this company? Are our fundamental core values aligned? Because I think that if that is there, if you manage to get the foundations there in terms of fit, then your potential to maximize your own growth within that company is huge, So definitely, I think, get the fit right. So when you're in an interview, it needs to be an instant sort of connection. You need to sort of feel it straight away. Don't underestimate, I think, that underlying feeling that tells you this is the right place for me. So that I think would be my message to the student.
And this might be a bit of a tricky question. However, I think there are individuals who see work as a place to go, spend 8 hours and go back home. And it isn't their passion. Do you think standing out is important for every student, and why is it important to stand out?
I think that this is, first of all, is very personal. So for me, it may be self-fulfillment, So ahead of this conversation with you, I was, this weekend I was with my sister and I told her, Kat, tell me, what does it mean to stand out? Why would you aim to stand out? And she told me for me, it's self-fulfillment. It's that feeling that I have a certain ambition and a certain drive to do something. And every day I feel like I'm doing it, So I think that is one, self-fulfillment. For other people, it could be something as simple as well, not simple, I mean something, it's important as job security, in insurance, your own insurance. And how do you do that? So if you stand out because you become an expert eventually in a certain field, okay, so if you stand out in that sense, then you're going to be that go-to person for that area. That automatically becomes your career insurance, you know that you are always going to be sought out. You're known for it, and I come back to how we opened this conversation, being known for something. You're known for it, and people seek you out. So I think, again, it's quite a personal thing, but and that is why I go back to fit as well, because if the fit is there, then your starting point is already a great one. And if you're doing something that you love, I'm going to be cliche, but do what you love and you never work a day in your life. And I think that is what everybody should be aiming for. You need to ask yourself, if you won the lottery, maybe not the lottery, but if you won, I don't know, 100,000 euro tomorrow, would you stop doing what you're doing? And the truth is, from me, I can say I wouldn't. I still wake up every morning excited to go to work. There are days where I feel nervous, and there are days where I say, oh God, I have this meeting and I'm nervous for it. But the feeling that I get after that meeting, the fulfillment, the satisfaction that I conquered it, that I managed to do it, that I did well, that I spoke well, or even learning from a mistake, that fulfillment, I think, is what everybody should strive for.
Unfortunately, we have run out of time. However, I really think that's an excellent point to end this on. Thank you very much, Sarah, for being with us today. Obviously, PwC Malta are offering a wide range of opportunities, so do check out their company page and register for interviews with them. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.